Today is Wednesday, January 8. I'm Pastor Anthony, and this is Wilderness Wanderings. Today our text comes from Isaiah 6. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord, high and exalted, seated on a throne, and the train of his robe filled the temple. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send, and who will go for us? And I said, Here I am, send me. He said, Go. That's Isaiah 6, verse 1, verse 8, and the first part of verse 9. Justin Trudeau resigned on Monday, the same day that the American election result of Donald Trump was ratified in Congress. Kamala Harris presiding, peacefully. It was another significant January 6, albeit less violent than the one 4 years ago. But while January 6 may have marked some significant happenings on the political stage, we do well to remember that in the Christian calendar, it was also the day of Epiphany. The context surrounding Isaiah's call to ministry gives a fitting parallel to this moment. King Uzziah, also called Azariah in 2 Kings 14, verse 21, had reigned in Jerusalem for 52 years at the time of his death. Unlike Trudeau or Trump, he was the only king that many people had ever known, much like Queen Elizabeth had been. At her death, and as her death, rather, was the symbolic yet definitive end of an era, so King Uzziah's death would have been for the people of Judah. During Uzziah's reign over Judah, the kingdom of Assyria began to rise in power in the east, even as political unrest plagued the northern kingdom of Israel. The cold winds of change had begun to blow through the kingdoms of the world, even though Uzziah's presence kept a sense of stability in the land of Judah. But not long after Uzziah's death, Assyria would strike, conquering and exiling the northern kingdom of Israel. So it was at this shift of the epoch, when all the old institutions and politics began to crumble and give way to something new, that Isaiah sees his vision. But the vision he sees is not necessarily what the astute philosopher or political scientist of the day would have seen. In the year that King Uzziah died, Isaiah does not see civilization crumbling around him. He sees the Lord, high and exalted, still seated on his throne, the temple scarcely large enough to hold his royal presence and garments. Lowly Isaiah steps into the presence of the true King of all the earth, gripped with fear and suddenly aware of his impurity and sheer ineptitude. But with fire from the altar he was cleansed and made ready to stand in the King's presence. Then boomed forth the voice of the Lord, Whom shall I send? Here am I, send me, replied Isaiah. Go, came the response. In these days of weariness and swirling anxieties, when it feels like the world we once knew is continually sloughing off into the heart of the sea, these words come to us again. The Lord Almighty is still on the throne, and we are firstly citizens of His kingdom, not of Canada or any other country. So be still and know that He is God, our God, who remains our refuge and strength, ever present in times of trouble. And our triune God still calls out to His people in the midst of all the chaos and crises of our time, saying, Whom shall I send? And who will go for us? Will you respond today? Will you go on this royal mission as an ambassador of Christ? Will you go out as sheep among wolves, shrewd as snakes and gentle as doves, to minister to your nation, to your neighbors, to your co-workers and friends in His name? In the season of Epiphany, may you too catch an Isaiah vision of Jesus on His throne appearing to you, and hear the Spirit-breathed call to go forth in His name, together in faith. As you journey on, go with God's blessing. May the peace of the Lord Christ go with you wherever He may send you. May He guide you through the wilderness and protect you through the storm. May He bring you home rejoicing at the wonders He has shown you. May He bring you home rejoicing once again into our doors.